Hey, I'd like to welcome everyone again to another Singapore speaker series presented here by BlockCerts Blockchain. And we're very fortunate today to have another just fascinating guest, which is the CEO of Wleepay, Mr. Lionel Bernard. Good morning, Lionel, or afternoon or evening. Yeah, you're in the UK, so good to see you.
All right, good evening, Dan, and thanks for inviting me to this FinTech Festival.
Absolutely, and it's great to have you here. And then also Tiffany Johnson, who's our Chief of Staff, and it's coordinating both our Fusion Funder effort as well as a big part of this Singapore FinTech Festival. So hello to you, Tiffany.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Lionel. Good to be here.
Awesome.
Hi, Tiffany.
Awesome.
Good to see you.
So if you could mute now, and then Lionel, tell us a little bit about your company and how you got started, and just kind of frame this up so we can go through this with everybody here at the FinTech Festival.
Well, Dan, thanks again for inviting me to speak here today. I'll start by telling you a bit about myself. I am Lionel Bernard, the CEO and founder of Wleepay. I know that's a tough word to pronounce, but I'll tell you exactly what it means shortly. I've got over 30 years of experience as an IT professional and 10 years as an executive in both government as well as the public sector. I have a doctorate degree in cloud computing. I was born in Liberia in West Africa, and I'm the author of several books that you can find on Amazon. Just go ahead and type my name, and you'll see my books. Now, entrepreneurship is something that I've been involved in for quite some time. It's embedded in me at this point. Wleepay is actually my third startup. Previous to this, I started a Yellow Pages company based in West Africa. And then after that, I started an ISP company providing internet services to the African market. But Wleepay is definitely my heart and soul. It's something I've put a lot of time and effort into. And the focus is very simple: to enable Africans to bank digitally from their phones. Your phone is your bank, and that's our motto.
Okay, and then tell us a little about the problem, if you would.
Well, exactly, Dan. Well, as far as Wleeplay, as I mentioned earlier, we're a mobile financial services provider, and we are targeting the African market. We're currently in a pre-seed phase, meaning that we're seeking funds to start operations, specifically in West Africa. We are licensed to operate as a mobile money provider, specifically in Liberia, which is one of the countries in West Africa. Now, we're tackling, our aim is to tackle three problems that exist in terms of financial services provision in the African market. The first is dependence on cash. 90% of transactions across the African continent is cash-based. Whether you're paying for something at a restaurant or renting a hotel, or you're buying goods and services from a vendor on the street, most of it is cash-based. Now, there are several problems with cash. The first is that it's insecure. Cash can be stolen. Cash can be lost. The other problem, that's emerged from the pandemic is that cash can facilitate the spread of COVID. So if you're paying for something with cash and you're infected with the COVID virus, there's a potential that you could transfer the virus to someone who's receiving cash, or if someone else has it and you're receiving the cash, there's a potential for exchange on that level. Also in Africa, a lot of employees receive their wages by check or by cash. What that implies is that if you receive your salary in check, you've got to travel long distances because banks are not available, and you have to stand in line, spending almost sometimes an entire day to convert your salary into cash that you use to purchase goods and services. So this is one of the problems that we're trying to tackle, is this dependency on cash. The other problem that we're trying to tackle with Wleepay is access to banks. You've heard the term unbanked in Africa. Africa has a population of about 1.5 billion people. About 70% of them don't have a bank account, not because they don't want one, but because there's none available where they live. We take for granted banks in the West, but in most parts of Africa, especially for those who live in rural areas, lack of banking services is a serious problem. You cannot get access to a bank, and if you do, it's at a distant location. And this sort of limits the ability of a lot of Africans to engage in real modern financial transactions or have access to modern financial services. So this is another problem that we're trying to tackle, the unbanked and financial inclusion. The third problem we're trying to tackle is something that's in the fintech industry. Besides Wleepay, there are currently quite a few fintech companies that are in the market that are emerging to support and provide financial services to the African market. But they have, for what we've seen, they have quite a few shortcomings. It's one of the major shortcomings of existing mobile money providers is that customers have to go to an agent to onboard. So if you live in a rural area, there's no agents around. You have to travel great distances again to find an agent. The other problem is that if you're interested in multiple, a variety of financial services, for example, if you're interested in buying insurance, if you're interested in cryptocurrency trading, if you're interested in micro lending, you have to use separate apps for each one of these services across the African continent. There's no consolidated tool that allows customers across the continent to use all of these services in one platform. The other problems with mobile money services across the continent is limited cross-border payment functionality. If you live in Nigeria and you're trying to pay someone across the border, it's difficult to do that. Or if it is available, it's expensive. A lot of the mobile money providers have fees that are unclear or very high. So that's another barrier to entry and another shortcoming. And and finally, some of the final shortcomings of financial services across the continent include the fact that a lot of merchants don't accept mobile money as a form of payment, and also the technology is not as innovative as it should be. And so these are the problems that Wleepay is attempting to tackle. First, the dependency on cash. Second, access to banks, financial inclusion, which is significant across the continent. And thirdly, some of the existing limitations that are apparent with financial services that are on the market.
Great. You want me to move on to solutions here? That's awesome.
Sounds good. Well, Dan, before I get into some of the solutions that Wleepay offers, let me talk a bit about the African market. You might be wondering, why are we targeting the African market? Where there are quite a few reasons, and there's a lot of opportunity in across the continent. As I mentioned earlier, the size of the African market is 1.3 billion people, right. And about more than half of them don't have a bank account. There's this transition, but currently more than half of them do have access to smartphone services. Even though they don't have a bank account, they can still leverage their phone as their bank. Now, based on GSMA statistics, Africa is also number one in terms of customer growth since 2019. Africa is number one in terms of new mobile money accounts. Africa is also number one in terms of mobile money transactions. So the center of the fintech universe actually is in Africa, out of necessity. There's a limitation in terms of access to bank account. So as a result, a lot of Africans are transitioning to digital forms of payment. And so hence that's being reflected in the higher growth in customers, in accounts and transactions.
It's because of need, but also, as you said, this pandemic is really forcing, and what we're seeing across the board is it's forcing technology where there was a need, but there's an ever-pressing need that is forcing technology to rapidly expand. So do you see that as well?
You're absolutely right, Dan. Yeah. What's happening now is technology is coming in to fill the void left by banks, or in access to banks, or financial inclusion, lack of financial inclusion. So where the banking infrastructure is legacy, it can't be everywhere every time. But everybody can have a phone everywhere every time. So as a result, people are using their phone to conduct not only financial services, but a wide variety of services that are unavailable locally. And this trend is going to continue in terms of technology adoption for financial services. And GSMA is projecting that by 2025, customer growth throughout the continent is going to increase to 30%. Revenue by mobile money providers is going to increase by at least 20% annually. And more importantly, the use of smartphones across the continent, which is averages right now about 40% of the 1.3 billion people, is going to increase to close to 70% of Africans having access to a smartphone and access to digital financial services right through their phones. So Wleepay is attempting to fit right into this paradigm of using your phone as a mechanism for accessing financial services across the continent. Now you ask the question, what solutions do we provide that makes us so different, so groundbreaking, so innovative? And I'll tell you what they are. The first is that Wleepay is borderless. All right, I mentioned earlier that one of the biggest problems is that if you're in one country in Africa, it's difficult to exchange funds. If you're a business, to buy supplies across borders, our platform is designed inherently to facilitate that. So if you're a Wleepay customer, you can easily transfer funds as a business in terms of purchasing supplies across borders. You can, if you're a customer, you can transfer funds to another peer across borders. If you are a customer, you can also purchase goods and services from other businesses across borders as well. And our platform is designed to facilitate that. As a Wleepay customer, you can also receive remittances directly from overseas, from Africans that are in the diaspora who send in excess of $500 billion every year to the African continent through MoneyGram, Western Union. And we're going to be plugging into that financial ecosystem at a lower rate and a more convenient method, instead of having to go to a remittance facility to extract the cash that you've received from overseas. The cash comes, the transaction comes directly to your Wleepay wallet, and you can use that in turn to engage in other transactions directly from your wallet. The other solution that we're providing that's going to make us stand out is the fact that we're tackling the issue of cash dependency aggressively. For example, we're going to market our service and facilitate the onboarding of merchants and acceptance of merchants of the Wleepay as a form of payment. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a significant problem throughout Africa, is that a lot of merchants don't accept mobile virtual payments. And the reason is because they want to, but no one has reached out to them to engage them or facilitate them enrolling in that digital transformation. So we're going to tackle that problem by reaching out to merchants significantly. We're also going to tackle the issue of contactless payment to reduce the spread of COVID by enabling our customers to pay for products and services locally as well as across border through contactless means, using a QR code or using a phone number or email as to facilitate the payment instead of cash. The third feature that we believe also helps us stand apart and is quite innovative is the fact that Wleepay Wleeplay allows our customers to self-enroll. This is really groundbreaking in terms of a feature functionality, because most of the mobile money platforms on the market in West Africa or East Africa require that you go to an agent. With Wleepay, you can enroll yourself within less than 5 minutes by doing a selfie check, which has some artificial intelligence technology integrated into it, or by capturing a picture of your ID. So you can be at home or wherever you are in a rural setting. Instead of having to go to an agent, you can use your smartphone to self-enroll, top up your account, and start engaging in transactions within a short period of time. And we believe that this feature alone is going to attract a lot of customers to our platform who want control over how quickly they can onboard and start leveraging digital financial tools.
Yeah, I see this as one huge barrier to everybody else that you don't have, because it will allow this solution to scale very quickly.
Exactly. Within our first year, we plan on onboarding at least 500,000 customers. And to do that, we can't rely on agents, training agents. We are going to be relying on the agents somewhat for some transactions if you're cashing out or if you're topping up in some capability. But by and large, we expect our customers to enroll by themselves. We also have features that allow you to integrate if you have a bank account through open banking standards to top up using your bank account, or to go to a vendor, local vendor, and top up that way. But the whole idea of Wleepay is to empower the customer to quickly establish a banking presence using our tools, establish a wallet, and to quickly start engaging in transactions to improve their lifestyle. One of the other things that we're doing is that our Wleeplay platform is all in one. As I mentioned earlier, currently on the continent, if you want to buy insurance or do micro lending, you've got to get separate platforms for that. Wleeplay has all in one. With Wleeplay, you can do conventional things that are standard for mobile wallets, such as pay your bills, but we're also enhancing it so that our customers will be able to receive remittances from overseas. They'll be able to trade crypto. They'll be able to buy products, local products and services using money in their wallet from an online marketplace right at the tap of their finger. They'll be able to apply for a microloan, and this is a loan less than $500. They'll be able to apply for a Wleepay virtual credit card that they can use to purchase items through other e-commerce platforms. They can use Wleepay to buy insurance. They can also use Wleepay to join a royalty program with their favorite vendor. And a couple of innovative things that we're doing is you'll be able to use Wleepay to establish a SUSU or join a SUSU. Now, most of you may not know this, but SUSU is a big financial organizing feature or tool practice across the African continent, where a group of people get together and pool their money, and it becomes a saving vehicle. And we're going to be transferring that from a manual process to a digital process, which is much more efficient than it currently is. So again, Wleepay we're tackling these problems by number one being providing tools that allows our customers to engage in borderless transactions, to allow our customers to engage in cashless transactions, to allow our customers to self-enroll and start using our digital financial services on scale and very quickly. We're also including a lot of features that allows our customers to engage in a platitude of financial services, all within from their phone and from a single app.
Wow, that's a mouthful. That's a lot. Yeah, that's impressive, Lionel.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
So we have about 10 more minutes here, or eight to 9 minutes here. So just tell me about the time here.
All right. Well, I'll talk a bit about our roadmap as well as our marketing strategy and a bit of our financials before I wrap this up. Now, in terms of our roadmap, initially we're going to be targeting the West African market, and we plan on starting operations in Liberia specifically. I mentioned earlier that we are licensed to operate in Liberia, and Liberia is a small country, but it presents a lot of opportunities. 60% of Liberians own a cell phone. That number is going to increase to 80% within the next 5 years. The market itself, Liberians receive over 400 million US dollars annually in inbound remittances from relatives in the diaspora. About $86 million is the number estimated in terms of cross-border transactions between Liberians and neighboring countries in terms of trade, and all this is being done in cash. Liberia has about over 3 million cell phone subscribers, and there are 3 main competitors in the market. We're going to be entering the market as the most innovative company with the best strategy by far. And we're going to be starting off in this market and expanding gradually into neighboring countries such as Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Ivory Coast, which makes up a trade bloc. And there's a lot of transactions between those countries. Longer term, we plan to expand into countries such as Nigeria and Ghana, as well as Togo. And we're targeting the West African market, which has about 350 million in terms of combined population in 15 countries that are part of the ECOWAS trade bloc. We're targeting this ECOWAS group of countries primarily because it presents the fastest growth market in the world in terms of mobile financial services, primarily because you've got a huge set of a huge migration to smartphone, a huge demand for financial services, but also because a lot of these countries are now deregulating their financial services to accommodate mobile financial service providers. Before these countries were had a very strict financial regulations, but now they're gravitating more to accommodate financial service providers, primarily to enable their their citizens to achieve financial inclusion and reduce the number of banks in the countries. So this presents a significant opportunity. Now, in terms of our marketing, we're seeking to raise about 1.6 million pre-seed funding to start operations. We've already attained a license. We've done a prototype, and we've got some market traction. But we need these funds to achieve quite a few things. And one of those things is marketing. We have a very aggressive marketing strategy, which entails three elements. One is local marketing, the other is channel marketing, and the third is digital marketing. With local marketing, we're going to be doing some very innovative things, including embarking on road shows to local villages. And this involves having our salespeople go to local villages and rural areas and demonstrate the benefits of Wleepay and how Wleeplay works, and respond to customers in these areas, respond to their questions about how they can use Wleepay to achieve some sort of financial traction. So these roadshows are a big part of our marketing strategy. We also plan on doing conventional marketing in local markets, such as billboard TV. But what we're going to be doing different is that a lot of our advertising will be done in local dialects. Instead of speaking English, which a lot of folks in these rural communities don't understand, we'll be speaking their local dialect in the advertising campaigns. In terms of channel advertising, we plan on taking on a lot of conferences, as well as exhibits, as well as forming partnerships with retailers to promote Wleepay brand and do some cross promotion there. A big part of our marketing strategy will be digital marketing through Facebook and Instagram and other social media outlets. Because why? A lot of Africans are online and they're absorbing a lot of the content, and we want to be part of that trend as well. A lot of Africans in the diaspora that support relatives and friends back home are also online on social media. So we plan on plugging into that social media communications channel and doing a lot of promotion there as well. Lastly, in terms of revenue, a lot of in terms of financials, we plan on generating revenue primarily from fees such as from inbound remittances, from cashing out, from loans, cross-border transfer, etc. As I said earlier, we're seeking a 1.6 million pre-seed raise, and some of that, about 30% of that, we expect to use for compliance and operations for at least a year and a half until we become self-sufficient. We are projecting profitability by the second year. This is a high growth market. Once we have the infrastructure in place, we expect to grow very rapidly, and we expect to become financially dependent based on revenue, at least by the second year. And we're also targeting about 7 million. We expect to reach a 70 million customer mark within 5 years, as well as 50 million in revenue within that time frame.
Oh, that's incredible, Lionel. And I absolutely think your unique selling proposition with being able to address people without going through agents and being able to target individuals throughout each of the areas you were talking about is such a unique selling proposition versus your competitors, and is something that is so needed in the marketplace to address all of the issues that that are out there, which include everything from money being stolen and to just purchasing goods and services and saving it, all the other problems that exist out there. So, so with that, how does someone get in touch with you?
Well, you can reach me by, my email address, which is on the screen. Well, actually, my email address is not on the screen. You can reach me by sending an email,
Okay.
LionelBernard@Wleepay.com. You can also reach out to Dan or Tiffany to reach out to me. You can visit our website, www.wleeplay.com, and sign up for, currently we're collecting emails, and we'll correspond with those who sign up. Once we launch, we're expected to do so within the first quarter of 2021. So these are some ways you can reach me, either by email, LionelBernard@Wleepay.com, or by going to our website and signing and subscribing to be notified once we launch.
Great. And also Tiffany at BlockCerts.com is working with you on this as well. So someone can reach out to Tiffany as well. And we really appreciate you being a part of this speaker series. It's a phenomenal service. It's much needed. It eliminates fees and charges and is the type of service that is able to scale quite rapidly. And that's one of the reasons why Fusion Funder was so enamored by this project and enthused to be a part of this. So we thank you, Lionel, and wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to working with you.
Do you have the questions?
So that is about the time we have, but Tiffany, why don't you take a few of the questions there?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. I have a question. Great presentation, Lionel. It looks like you are going to transform West Africa when you're up and running. So one of the questions I have is, this is very innovative. Who do you see as your first adopters in Liberia and West Africa?
That's a very good question, Tiffany. And we expect our first adopters to be young Africans, primarily because they're the ones who are much more receptive to new technologies. They have a stronger Facebook and social media presence, and they're much more readily embracing of mobile money technology. This is currently the case. Our initial marketing will target them, the 18 to 34-year-old group, via TV and billboards and different outlets. But gradually, another big early adopter group that we expect are the Africans in the diaspora, mainly because they're looking for value in terms of being able to transact with relatives back home, value and convenience, and we provide that. Lower cost in terms of being able to remit funds to their relatives and friends back home, as well as convenient services that are digitally end-to-end transactions instead of having someone stand in line. So, we're looking at young Africans as well as diaspora Africans. We expect to be early adopters.
Great. I have a few questions for you. Another one is, will this be a peer-to-peer within Liberia, or would your app be able to facilitate e-commerce for cross-borders in West Africa?
Well, our plan is to initially, yes. Short answer is yes. Wleepay will facilitate cross-border transactions across the continent. Last year, cross-border payments total of $48 billion. These are countries exchanging money informally with one another, either P2P or B2B. And cross-border transfer is going to be a core feature in Wleepay. And we're going to accomplish this through a partnership with MFS Africa, which is a payment hub across the continent. And what it will allow our customers to do is, you can send Wleepay transfer from your wallet to a business or to a person in another country throughout the continent. And eventually, we plan to scale that up to allowing our customers to transfer funds to other parts of the world, such as Asia and South America and even Europe. There are three types of operators in the fintech space in Africa. They're the mobile money operators like M-Pesa, Zpay, and Paga. There's also the telcos like MTN, Orange, and Airtel, and there are also banks. Our platform will be able to integrate with any one of those players in the market. So you'll be able to send funds to Paga, M-Pesa in Kenya, and potentially receive funds. You'll be able to send funds to Airtel customers as well as Orange customers, or even MTN, or even send money to a bank or receive funds for a bank. Again, the goal is to make cross-border transactions, as convenient and as value added and affordable as possible, which is currently not the norm.
Great. I have two more questions just coming in. One is
just one more question because we need to cut this off. So thank you. One more question from somebody. Thank you.
Great. Yes, I see one question coming in is, where do you see the mobile banking, financial inclusion headed in the future for Liberia and for West Africa or even beyond, throughout Africa?
Well, I think mobile banking is exploding right now across Africa. I mentioned earlier that this is the fastest growing market in the world, mainly out of necessity. People don't have banks, so they gravitate to the next best thing, which is their mobile phones, which allows them to do banking. Currently, the eastern region of Africa is leading the trend in terms of innovation and cross-border transactions. But West Africa is right behind, and Ghana and Nigeria are leading that trend. And there are some reasons why the growth is expanding significantly. One is the adoption of smartphones. As I mentioned earlier, more and more Africans are gaining access to cell phones, and they're using that phone to do social media, as well as to do financials and to do chatting, such as WhatsApp. So the cell phone is becoming the centerpiece of a lot of African lives, as it currently is in the West. Now, the smaller countries were previously ignored, but now a lot of them are deregulating their banking sector, which is attracting fintech investment. A lot of telcos are deploying more sophisticated telecommunication networks that enable the distribution of financial services and social media services. They're deploying 4G and 5G across, not only West Africa, but across the African continent. Services such as micro-lending, mobile insurance, and crypto trading is also seeing significant growth throughout the continent. Now, banks are trying to get into the fintech space, but a lot of the fintech innovation and growth is being led by mobile money providers. These are non-telcos specifically. But what you're going to see in the next probably 5 or 10 years is you're going to see a lot of consolidation amongst the mobile money providers. Currently, there are 50 or plus of them spread across various countries. You're going to see a lot more consolidation as the growth slows, and as the number of operators continues to grow, and the market cannot sustain too many operators. So those are some of the trends that you're going to see. There's going to be continued growth in Africa in terms of mobile money because of necessity and because of smartphone adoption, as well as infrastructure improvement, telecom infrastructure improvement. But you're also going to see more consolidations. But right now, there's a huge investment attraction for that market, and that's going to continue for at least the next 5-10 years.
That's great.
That's awesome. We need to wrap up. We appreciate getting on board with this speakers series, and if anyone's interested, again, certainly contact Tiffany at BlockCerts.com, or we will put a trailer at the end of this so that individuals know how to contact yourself, Lionel. And we appreciate that you're involved in this, and what you're doing is exceptional. We applaud you for what you're doing and helping so many more people across the African continent. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just want to add, you can go to fusionfunder.com to get all the information as well.
Great. Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much
Stephanie.
today,
Yeah,
Lionel.
you have a great day, evening for you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Great.